This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. I am Rajni Jain on behalf of agriculturelinformation.com. I'd like to welcome you all to this online meeting. Please take a moment to review the guidelines for this online meeting posted in the chat window. I now request the moderator, Mr. Lakshmipati, to introduce the speaker and start the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rajini. Good evening, everyone. I am Lakshmipati. I will be moderating this meeting. Agricultureinformation.com likes to welcome to this meeting Mr. Rahul Paharia, the Director of Jwala Techno Engineering Private Limited, Mumbai, Maharashtra. Mr. Rahul Paharia will be speaking on the topic, how to set up a mango processing plant. I now request the speaker to begin. Mr. Rahul, you can please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Welcome.
Lakshmipati. Thank
You
you
can
for
also
having
come
me.
on the camera. We are missing your camera.
Okay.
Yes, that's okay. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. So I'll be talking about the different mango processing technologies which are involved, so that you can know if you want to set up a processing plant in the future, what are the different technologies which are involved in setting up a processing unit, what are the different types of processing units, so that you can make a more informed decision about the kind of plant that you want to set up in the future. So I will straight away start with this topic. I'll dive right in. Okay, so what are the most popular forms of processed mangoes? So mango pulp, possibly the biggest form in which mango is processed in India right now is mango pulp. So in all the southern states, so Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Andhra Pradesh, mango is grown in fairly large quantity, and we have several processing plants for mangoes in the Krishnagiri area, in the Dharampuri district, in Chittoor district, etc. And most of these plants are based on mango pulp processing. So I would say that possibly 80 or 90% of the processing of mango happens in the form of mango pulp. Now that again happens in two different ways. One is aseptic mango pulp, and second is canned mango pulp. So what are these processes? How are they different from each other? Those I will cover in this presentation. The second most common form of processing mangoes is frozen mangoes. Again, in frozen mangoes, the two common types are frozen mango slices and frozen mango pulp. So most of these plants, which have like fairly large processing capacity for mango pulp, almost all of them have now moved to processing mango in frozen form also. Because globally, if there is one form of processing which is most widely accepted, it is freezing. It is the frozen form of the product. The other common forms of mango processing are mango juice, that is the ready-to-drink mango juice, which you have in the form of Tropicana or Dabur Real juices, or if you go with beverages like fruity, etc. So that is mango juice. I'll be covering the technology behind it as well. Then there are other the other common processed forms are mango jam, fresh mangoes, etc. So now we will look at each of these popular forms of processing. What is the technology involved behind it? What are the machines involved behind it? So that you have a fairly good idea about what we mean when we say when that mango is processed in aseptic form, or the mango is frozen in the form of slices or dices. So my expectation is that at the end of this presentation, the audience will be able to have a much better perspective of what these different processing technologies are. We will start with the most commonly processed form of mangoes, which is mango pulp. Uh, so this is what a line for mango processing would look like. So I'm sorry, the pictures, the image is a bit small. You might not be able to see it very clearly, but I will briefly take you through what the process is. So the line starts from left to right. You can see, if you can see the, not sure if you can see the cursor on the screen. So from left to right, the leftmost machine is the washer, where the mangoes are going to be washed. After that, the next machine on the right is the inspection conveyor, where the sorting and preparation of the fruit takes place. Then with the help of an elevator, the third machine from the right, the elevator, the product is taken to the pulper. Pulper is the machine where the stone of the mango and the skin of the mangoes are separated, and we have mango pulp as the output. We have mango pulp as the output, which is collected in a tank that is standardized, pasteurized. Now, pasteurization is a very common process wherein you need to sterilize the pulp. How do you sterilize it? You do that by heating the pulp up to a temperature of 90 degrees centigrade. Once you do that, all the microbes and microorganisms are killed, and what you have is sterilized pulp, which we can then use immediately for filling. So once we have the pasteurized pulp, the pasteurizer is the seventh machine from the left. After that, we have the overhead tank, and then we come to the filling section, the can sterilizer, the pump filler, etc. We'll look at each of these machines, and I will very briefly talk to you about how these machines function. So this is the first machine as part of the line, which is the mango washer. Here the washing of the mangoes take place. Normally for totapuri mangoes, we need two stages of washing. In the first stage, you wash it with normal water, and in the second stage, you wash it with chlorine water. Again, chlorine acts as a disinfectant, and it tends to remove the pesticides and other chemicals which are applied on the mangoes while they are harvested. So in the machine, so how does this machine function? Again, I'll very briefly talk about this. So you can see the machine, the picture of the machine on the right. So there is a tank. In the tank, we have the tank is filled with water. In this tank, we give agitation with the help of a blower. So the water is agitated. Because of the agitation, the dirt on the mangoes they loosen, and the dirt is then washed off. So what we have is clean mangoes. There is a recirculation system with the help of a pump. Now this recirculation system pushes the mango forward with the help of water pressure. Then it reaches a takeoff conveyor. And on the takeoff conveyor, we give another fresh spray of water before the mangoes are discharged. So this is how the washing of the mangoes takes place. This form of washing is called bubble washing. Why do we call it bubble washing? Because bubbles are created in water with the help of the agitator, with the help of the blower. So how does it? So in this slide, you will see a couple of pictures of this machine which has been placed in an actual line. So you can see the agitation in the water which has been created with the help of a blower, and we give a fresh water spray before the product is discharged to the next machine. The next machine after washer is the inspection conveyor. So in the inspection conveyor, we do the basic preparation and inspection of the fruits. So whatever fruits we feel are not suitable for using, for example, if certain fruits are unripe or they are overripe, or we feel that they are rotten, then we need to throw them off. How do we throw them off? So there are waste pockets which are provided on the conveyor. In the picture, you can see certain pockets which are hanging down. So these pockets, you throw the waste off. The prepared product is placed in the central lane. So you receive the raw fruits in the two sides. The conveyor is divided into 3 lanes. That is why it is called the three-way inspection conveyor. In the outer lanes, we receive the product. The prepared product is kept in the central lane. So after the cutting, basically you just uh, cut the mangoes into basically just impart 2 slices on the mango and the stone. So the mangoes and the stone you keep in the central lane, and whatever waste is there you throw it off from the waste pockets. So this is how the conveyor functions. It's just a simple belt. It runs from one end to the other. We control the speed of the belt with the help of a VFD, and the division of the central lanes is done with the help of SS square pipes. Again, all the machines that we will be showing over here, all of these are made completely in stainless steel, because mild steel is prohibited to be used in plants like these, because if they tend to rust is almost like poison. So it is not advisable to use mild steel at all in any of the machines. All the machines should be made completely from stainless steel, or at least we should ensure that all the contact parts of the machines are made completely in stainless steel. So this is how the inspection conveyor looks as part of the line. So we see the 3-lane inspection conveyor. We see the 3 lanes here, and we see the waste pockets here. So the products are received either in the central lane or in the outer lanes. If it is received in the central lane, the operators which are standing on both sides of the conveyor, they will pick up the fruit from the central lane, and as I had mentioned earlier, they will be slicing the mangoes into 3 parts and keeping the prepared mangoes in the outer lanes. And if there is any waste, that waste is dumped through the waste pockets. So here we see how the machines are placed as part of this line. So we have the washer, the inspection conveyor. From the inspection product conveyor, the product goes to the elevator. We'll talk about the elevator now. It's a belt elevator. The elevator takes the product up to the pulping machine, where the pulping of the fruit would happen. So this is just a belt conveyor which will take the product up to whatever height whatever height is desirable, whatever is the height of the pulper. In this picture, you would see the belt elevator being or the bucket elevator being installed in the line. The next machine in the line is the pulper. Now, pulper is a very essential machine as part of the pulp processing line. So, in the name itself would suggest that in this machine, the pulp of the mangoes is extracted, and the stone and the skin of the mangoes they are separated. So, the stone of the mangoes, that is the gutli of the mangoes, that is getting separated automatically, and the skin of the mangoes, that is getting separated. So this is a 2-in-1 type of a pulper. You will see 2 sieves which are placed one below the other. On the top, we have a hopper, feed hopper. From the feed hopper, the product enters into the chamber. Here, with the help of blades and brushes, the mangoes are pressed against a sieve. Because of the pressing, the pulp is getting separated, and the stone and the skin, they remain in the sieve, and they are pushed forward and they are discharged from the other end. The pulp which is removed from the first stage, that is passed on to the second stage, where further refining of the pulp would happen, and the refined pulp is then collected in a tank below. So this is a pulper machine. Again, we can go for a single stage pulper as well if we have the plant of a lesser capacity, but in all plants of 500 kgs per hour and above, we would need a 2-stage pulper. Again, the machine is made completely in stainless steel. So this is how a 2-stage pulper would look as part of the plant. So the product is received from the elevator. You can see from the arrows the coarse pulping unit and the fine pulping unit. And the pulp which is extracted is collected in the tank below. You can see the pulp collection tank which is mentioned below. And from this pulp collection tank, the product is taken with the help of a pump to the next machine. Now the next machine as part of this line is the standardization tank. Here, in the pulp, if we have to add sugar syrup or any other additive, we can do that at this stage. And this also acts as a buffer tank for the pasteurizer. In the picture, you can see the tank. So there is a propeller type stirrer, which is part of this. In the tank, the mixing of the pulp would happen. Then the pump, we normally use screw type pumps as part of this operation because the product which we have is very viscous. So we need to use a screw type pump. A normal centrifugal pump doesn't work for these applications. The next machine as part of this line is a scrape surface pasteurizer. Uh, Again, this is a very essential machine as part of this line. Here the product is heated to a temperature of about 80 degrees centigrade, 80 degrees centigrade to 90 degrees centigrade. Again, pasteurization, without pasteurization, you cannot preserve pulp. So what pasteurization does, it kills the microorganisms which are there as part of the pulp, the microbes and the microorganisms. If we don't destroy them, then they will tend to tend to spoil the product. So the product won't remain in the remain in its preserved form for a very long time. You need to pasteurize the pulp. So after pasteurization, all the microbes are killed, and then we need to ensure that as soon as this process is done, we do the filling of the pulp in whatever containers we require, whatever containers we have chosen. But pasteurization is a very essential process which cannot be skipped. So this is a pasteurization machine. In the pasteurization machine, the pulp enters from the left. In the machine, you can see the pulp enters from the left, and it keeps moving forward in a tube. There is steam on the pipe or the chamber is covered with steam on the outer on its outside, and because of the steam, the heating of the pulp happens. Now there are some scrapers which scrape the surface of the tube continuously, because of which the charring of the pulp doesn't happen, and it also moves the product forward. And when the product is pasteurized completely, it is discharged from the other end, and we can set the time for which the pulp is going to remain inside the chamber. So this is how the pasteurizer looks as part of the line. So from the screw pump, the product enters the tube in with, from the product inlet. There are temperature gauges, pressure gauges, etc. And from the discharge funnel at the other end, the product is discharged. After the product is pasteurized, now it is ready for filling. So we have done the basic processing of the product. Now it is ready for filling. So we take it to an overhead insulated tank. We need the tank to be insulated because we need to maintain the temperature of the product inside the tank. Otherwise, if it gets cold, again there's a chance of the chances that the microbes may develop in the product. So we need to keep it in a hot condition. So it is placed at an height because uh, uh, the product will flow with gravity in the filling machine. So this is a filling machine which is normally used for mangoes. It's called the rotary pump filler. This is normally used for can filling. So again, this we can see a rotary pump filler which has been installed in the line. So the rotary pump filler would fill the product. Then it is getting discharged from the discharge conveyor, which takes the product up to the seamer. So we can see the discharge conveyor here. From the discharge conveyor, the product goes to the seamer. Here the cans are seamed completely from the outside, so that it cannot seal cannot be broken, and there is no chance of the product getting contaminated. The cans are sterilized before the products are filled in the can. The sterilization of the cans happens in the can sterilizer machine. So once we have the seamed cans, then we have to retort the cans. So we need to keep the cans in boiling water for 20 minutes, which we can achieve with the help of the retort machine. The retort machine, essentially, the cans are kept in crates, and the crates are then inserted in the retort machine. So once the product is kept in boiling water for a certain time, so in this case it's like 20, or the timing is around 20 minutes, then the cans are completely sterilized, and the product in the canned form can then be stored for whatever time period we want. So this was about the canning line. I'll very quickly revise the entire line for you in less than a minute. Okay, so this is the line. From the left, I'll start. So first we wash the machine, wash the mangoes. We do a basic inspection and slicing of the mangoes on the inspection conveyor. Then the product is taken with the help of a elevator to the pulper. In the pulper, the stone and the skin is getting separated, and the pulp is collected. The collected pulp is then standardized. That is, any additives we need to add, we add those. Then the standardized pulp is pasteurized, where it is heated at 90 degrees centigrade, and then it goes for filling in cans with the help of a filling machine. The cans are sterilized before they are filled, and then the cans are seamed. After seaming, the cans are retorted before we can say that the canning process is complete, and the cans can then be stored in at room temperature for a period of close to 1 year. So this was about the canning line. I had talked about the aseptic filling as a common way of processing as well. Now, aseptic filling is used in plants where the capacities are 5 tons per hour or more. Uh, for plants of less than 5 tons per hour, we normally use canning. So wherever the plant capacity is 5 tons per hour or more, we use the aseptic filler. In the aseptic filler, again, the first few processes are the same. So up to the pasteurization, the process is the same. Then before filling, the product is like sterilized before it gets filled in the aseptic filling machine. Aseptic filling machine is normally a pretty expensive machine. The cost of it is in excess of 2 crores, and that's why it is feasible to use aseptic filling only if the capacity of the plant is 5 tons per hour or more. So I have covered canning and I've covered aseptic filling. So I've covered the most commonly used form of processing mangoes. So if you have any doubts or any queries so far, you can always address those to me whenever you want. All right. Uh, I have shown a few machines which are involved in tomato. So if we set up a mango processing line, so it's not that that machine would be used only for processing mangoes. You can use the same line for processing many other products. Almost all major tropical fruits can be processed in the same line. So you can process chiku in the same line, chiku or sapota in the same line. You can process papaya in the same line. You can process guavas in the same line. You can process lychees in the same line. So all these tropical fruits, the processing line essentially remains the same. You may possibly need to add 1 or 2 more machines in order to complete the line. One more commonly one more common application in pulp processing is tomato processing plant. Why I'm including this here is that in the mango processing line, if we just add a couple of machines, we can then use the same line for processing tomatoes also. So because tomatoes is again grown in very good quantity in Karnataka, that is why Karnataka and other parts of South India, that is why I've covered tomato processing as well. So this is the line for tomato processing. Again, as I was mentioning, majority of the machines remain the same. So again, we have, if we start from the left, we have a washer machine which will wash the tomatoes, an inspection conveyor where we do a basic inspection of the tomatoes. Now, as part of the tomato line, before going to the pulper, we do a process called as hot breaking. So we have the hot break system. So this entire lot in the center, this is the hot break system. From here, it goes to the pulper. From the pulper, again, we have the standardization tanks, and then there are these concentration machines. So a vacuum pan where the concentration of the tomato pulp would happen, and then it can go for filling and packing. So as I was mentioning earlier, there are very few equipments which we need to add to the mango process line to make it a tomato processing line. And these two equipments are the hot break system and the vacuum pan. This is what a hot break system would look like. So the machines involved as part of it are the crusher, the tank, the recirculation system, the heat exchanger, the control system, the interconnecting pipes and fittings, and the structures. I will not go into the details of the hot break system because our essential focus is mango processing. But if there are any questions around it, I'll be happy to take those. This is how the hot break system looks as part of the line. And these are the vacuum pans or the vacuum evaporators where the concentration of the tomato pulp happens, and the ultimate product, the end product which we have, is tomato puree or tomato paste. These are pictures of how a vacuum pan is installed in an actual line. So we have covered pulp processing of mango and what all other applications can be served with the help of the same line. Now we will come to another very rapidly developing form of processing, which is frozen. So frozen mangoes are gaining acceptance very fast in the market now, and a lot of people who have set up pulp processing lines, they have now started putting up lines for freezing mangoes or for frozen mango processing. So what does frozen mango entail? So the most common forms of processed mangoes of frozen mangoes are frozen mango slices or dices or frozen mango pulp. Now, frozen mango slices and dices are again the most common form of in which the frozen mangoes are exported. So I will cover that in detail, and I'll briefly talk about frozen mango pulp also. So frozen mango slices, dices, what all operations are involved? So washing of the mangoes, which happens with the help of the washer. Again, I'll cover this in brief. Then we have to peel the mangoes. So that happens on mango peeling conveyor. After peeling the mangoes, we have to slice the mangoes. Now, all of these operations are manual. Those have to be done by operators who stand on either side of conveyors where these operations take place. So you peel the mangoes manually. We cannot peel it with the help of machines because the shape of mango is not uniform at all. So once the mangoes are peeled completely, then we have to slice the mangoes, which happens on a slicing conveyor. After getting the mango slices, the slices have to be hardened because the mango slices tend to be very soft and we cannot cut the mangoes when they are so soft. So we have to harden them, which happens in the mango slice cooler machine, which have been shown in the brackets. Okay. After slice hardening, we go for dicing of the mangoes, wherein mango dices or cubes, mango cubes are obtained. Once mango cubes are obtained, we have to dewater them. That is, remove the water from the surface before freezing, because and if it contains a lot of water, there will be a lot of ice formation. We need to dewater it, and then it goes for freezing. Freezing happens in a machine called as the IQF, which is the individual quick freezer. Again, I'll briefly revise. So you have to wash the mangoes, you have to peel it manually, slice it, harden the slices, dice it, dewater it, and then freeze it. So these are the steps involved in mango slicing and dicing. Mango slices and dices. This is the same washer which we had discussed earlier um, in the pulp processing line as well. The same washer you would use for mango in this line as well. So you will have again have two stage of washing. In the first stage you will have normal water washing. In the second stage you will have washing with the help of chlorine to remove chemicals. Then we come to the peeling and the slicing conveyor. This operation, as I was just mentioning, it happens manually. So we have a conveyor like this. There will be people standing on both sides of the conveyor. They would be manually peeling the mangoes and then slicing the mangoes. So the waste peel and all that is dumped through the waste pockets. We had seen the waste pockets earlier. So those are dumped through the waste pockets, and the prepared product is kept in the central lane or in a separate tier. We can have a 3-tier peeling as well, peeling and slicing conveyors as well. So after peeling and slicing, the prepared product is then taken for further processing. So those happen in the conveyor, the picture of which you can see on your screen. So once we have the peeled and the sliced mangoes, those slices are hardened, because if they are very soft, we will not be able to dice them well. Okay, so the hardening happens. How do we harden the mangoes? We dip them in chilled water for a certain amount of time. Again, the time is fixed. Uh, uh, for example, we need to dip the mangoes. In most cases, we need to dip the mangoes in chilled water for a time of about 3 to 4 minutes. So the time we can set on the panel, on the control panel which operates the machine, and then the product passes on a belt. You can see the picture of the machine on the screen. So there is a belt which runs from one end to the other, and the tank through which the belt runs, that consists of chilled water. So the belt ensures that the product dips in chilled water completely, and the timing of the dipping, that we can control by controlling the speed of the belt with the help of a VFD. So this is a machine, this is a cooler. With the help of the cooler, you harden the slices of mangoes. So once we have hardened mango slices, those are then passed through a dicer. Now, a dicer is a machine which cuts these mango in the form of cubes, small cubes. Why do we do dicing? Because dicing is the most commonly accepted form in which the mangoes are exported. Frozen mangoes are exported. So mangoes are generally exported in the form of frozen dices. So the dicing happens with the help of this machine. This is essentially a cutting machine. So you cut the mangoes into small dices. So after we do the cutting and we have small cubes of mangoes, then they are passed through a dewatering machine. In the dewatering machine, the water is separated from the surface water from the dices are removed, and what we have are the dices which are then ready for freezing, because we don't have any water from the top. And the dewatering happens with the help of a vibratory unit, the picture of which you can see on your screen. Once we have we have now covered the process for frozen mango slices and dices. I'll very briefly touch upon what frozen mango pulp is. Now we have already seen how mango pulp is processed. So we have seen in the earlier line how we have to extract the pulp with the help of a pulper, then we have to pasteurize it, etc. So once we have the pulp, once we have the prepared pulp, then it has to be it can be used for freezing. How do we do that? Which machines have to be additionally placed in the line in order to obtain frozen mango pulp? So I've listed them over here. So the first machine is the pulp cooler, where you essentially we have to cool the mango pulp. That happens in two stages, because the temperature of the product has to be brought down to 10 to 15 degrees centigrade. It happens in two stages. So from 80 degrees centigrade, to bring it down to 15 degrees centigrade, we do it in two stages. First, we cool it with normal water, where the temperature of the pulp comes down to say 50 degrees centigrade or so. Then we go to the pulp cooler, where the temperature is brought down from 50 degrees centigrade to 10 to 15 degrees centigrade. Once we have the chilled pulp, then it is filled in pouches and sealed, and then it is taken to the blast freezer, where the freezing of the pulp happens. So at the end of this process, we have frozen mango pulp. We have seen most of the other machines. That's why I'm not going to cover the pulp processing part again. We'll directly come to the cooler. So once we have the pasteurized pulp, then it is passed through the cooler. Again, this is similar to the scrape surface pasteurizer that we had seen earlier. So once we cool the product in two stages, first with normal water and then we'll cook with chilled water. You can see it written over here that the temperature comes down to 10 to 15 degrees centigrade. And then this chilled mango pulp is taken for freezing with the help of filling machines. So filling machines are generally, there are separate supplies for filling machines. You can fill it in pouches, and then you can take it to the blast freezer for freezing. So now we have covered the two most commonly used practices for processing of mangoes, which is mango pulp processing and frozen mango processing. Now we will come to some of the other additional and supplementary forms of processing of mangoes, which are commonly used. So first is mango juice, which is juice in ready to drink form. As I was giving you examples earlier, for example, you would have seen the juice Tropicana mango juice, or you would have seen the real juice of real mango juice of the real brand, which is made by the Daburs. Then there are again commonly used forms like fruity or slice, which is of the Coca-Cola brand, etc. So there are several. Mango juice is one of the it is possibly the largest consumed juice in India. So mango juice processing is also something which I thought I should cover here, because if suppose if you want to go for a juice processing line, then what all machines would be involved. So I wanted to just briefly share the process for that. So how do we prepare mango juice? So again, in this case, we use mango pulp as the base product. So we had seen how mango pulp is processed. So mango pulp is used as the base product. So in that mango pulp, we add sugar syrup, mix it thoroughly, then homogenize the product, pasteurize the product, and then take it for filling and packing. So there are just 5 steps. You take the pulp as a raw pulp, raw mango pulp as your base product. You add sugar syrup to it. You homogenize it. You pasteurize it, and then you do the filling and packing of it. So the 5 steps. There are 5 common steps as part of this. In this line diagram, you will see some of the steps which are covered. So the pulp of mango is emptied in this tank, in a slow bottom tank. Then it is taken to the mixing section, where it is mixed along with sugar syrup. You can see from the arrows, the sugar syrup is coming from a separate line. So the pulp and sugar syrup are added to this tank. The mixing happens in these tanks. Then with the help of a pump, the product is then taken for filling and packing. So how does the sugar syrup preparation line work? So you feed the sugar in a tank with the help of an elevator. The mixing of the sugar in the tank happens in the mixing of the sugar and water happens in this tank. You heat the solution with the help of steam. Product which is obtained is then passed through a filter press, and in order to refine, also in order to filter the sugar syrup, then it is taken to the holding tank. Now the sugar from this holding tank, it again goes to the common mixing tank, and then we homogenize and pasteurize the product in order to obtain mango juice. So how do the machines look like? So most commonly used tanks are in the form of kettles. So in the kettles, you prepare sugar syrup. You also prepare uh, mango. You also prepare the juice, the mixing of the juice. That also happens in sugar syrups like these. And this is what a homogenizer machine would look like. The homogenization. When we say homogenization, I mean that the product is refined to such a level so that the taste of the product is uniform. In juices, to have uniform taste is very important, so that we can achieve with the help of the homogenizer machine. We have covered mango juice now. It's a very simple process, as I mentioned earlier, just a 5-step process. Take raw pulp as the base product, add sugar syrup to it, homogenize it, pasteurize it, and then take it for filling and packing. Uh, we come to another byproduct of processed mango, which is mango jam. Again, to prepare mango jam, you use mango pulp as the base product. In this line diagram, you will very briefly see how the process happens. So the vacuum pan is here, the mixing tank. So here you mix mango pulp, you add pectin, you add acid, you add any of the ingredients which are required as part of it. All the entire mixing happens over here. You add sugar syrup in good quantity over here. So you add pulp, you add sugar syrup, you had all the ingredients, mix them together, and once the jam is prepared, you pump it and you take it to a tank from where the filling and packing of the jam would take place. So this is again the sugar syrup line, which is because sugar syrup is required in very good quantity when we do jam processing. The last but not the least, fresh mangoes. So mangoes are exported in very large quantities in fresh form, but we just cannot pluck the mangoes from our orchards and export it, because there is a certain amount of processing which needs to be done before we can do the exporting. Most European countries these days, they have certain norms and or certain processes which have to be followed before the mangoes could be exported. So this is the line diagram that you see here. This is one of the most common forms of processing of mangoes, of fresh mangoes. Essentially, you do a basic sorting. So you remove the mangoes which are not desirable. You wash the mangoes, you dewater the mangoes, you do a hot water treatment of the mangoes. You essentially dip the mangoes in hot water for a certain amount of time. Then you can use a grader in order to grade the mangoes into different sizes, and then with the help of a packing system, you can pack the mangoes. What all machines are involved? Again, a sorting conveyor. This conveyor we have seen earlier. You can remove the mangoes which are not desirable at this stage itself. Then the washer, we have again seen the washer earlier. The same washer we can use here in order to separate the dirt, etc., to clean the mangoes. After cleaning, we have to dry the mangoes completely. We have to remove all the water from the mangoes. So that's where this machine comes in. It's called as a brush washer. So the mangoes pass through a series of brushes. Some companies do waxing of mangoes as well. So the waxing can also be done at this stage. So, so once the mangoes are cleaned completely, then we take it for hot water treatment. Here the mangoes are dripped in hot water for a certain amount of time. Again, the time can be adjusted uh, in the machine. So the whole mangoes are dipped in hot water for specified amount of time. In the tank, we heat the water with the help of steam pipeline, and again with automatic valves, etc. We can control the amount of steam which goes in, and the product move forward on a belt. So you can see the belt on the return side. So the mango moves forward on a belt in this machine, and at the other end, the mangoes are discharged. After this, the last step which is involved is drying of the mangoes. So once the mangoes are cleaned completely, you dry them. For that, you pass it through a chamber in which hot water is passed, and then you clean the mangoes completely. So that was all when it comes to the processing line. What all technologies are involved in mangoes. So I tried to cover all the major forms of processing of mangoes and the technology behind it, the machines which are involved behind it. I'll take just 2 minutes to give a brief introduction about my company. So we are one of the largest players in India when it comes to fruits and vegetable processing. So apart from mango, we do processing of all kinds of fruits and vegetables. So we started in 1996. So we are a 25-year-old company. It was founded by my father, Rahul Paharia, who has an experience of more than 40 years now in the same line. We are known for high quality, high reliability machines. We have a full-fledged team with us. So we have design engineers, production engineers, etc. We have a highly skilled workforce. Our factory is based very close to Mumbai city, so we have a very finding high skilled workforce is not difficult for us, and we have a long list of highly satisfied clients. So what do we do? We do plants and machines for these kind of application, frozen fruits and vegetables. So we do lines for green peas processing, corn processing, mango cubes processing, etc. Fruit pulp lines for mango, guava, papaya, etc. Complete lines for tomato ketchup puree paste. Beverage lines, ready to eat foods like the ones which you get in MTR, ready to eat foods, jam processing line, fresh fruits line, dehydrated vegetables lines, etc. This is what our factory looks like. It's about 100 kilometers from Mumbai airport, spread over an area of 4,500 square meters. We have an office in Mumbai city, in the suburbs of Mumbai, in Goregaon. Uh, I'll skip all this. So design is one of our essential strengths. So we do all our work in 3D software like SolidWorks, which ensures that our designs are checked and thoroughly checked before we take any machines for manufacturing. We believe in precision fabrication. That is why we all the cutting and bending which we do, all of those are on CNC machines. We use components of internationally reputed brands only. The finish of a machine can be considered to be the best in the industry. Some of our domestic clients include Bagro Frozen Foods, Gujarat Agro. We supplied a fully automatic 2 tons per hour mango processing line to Gujarat Mega Food Park a couple of years back. General Mills, Innovative Cuisine, MTR Foods, Chima Frozen Foods, RK Food Products, etc. We do a lot of work with multinational companies also. We have supplied a lot of machines to PepsiCo, Kellogg's, McCain's, Simplot, General Mills, etc. So this was all from my end. Thank you for being patient and listening out the entire presentation from my end. Thank you again. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take those.
Thank you, Mr. Rahul Paharia, for an excellent and interesting presentation and talk. I now request the participants to ask their questions. We'll also be posting the speaker's contact details in the chat window. Now, participants, if there are any questions, please post them one by one. And please indicate your willingness by putting on your mic briefly. We have Ms. Sabrina John, Mr. Prasad Madhaya, Mr. Jagan Mohan Reddy, Mr. Izuddin, Dr. Gururaj Achar, Mr. Amir, Mr. Rahul. Yes. Anybody is interested, please? Yes, Dr. Gururaj Achar. Yes, who is this?
Sir, I am Jagan from AP, from
Please.
Chittoor district.
Yes, please
Yeah.
go ahead.
Sir, my question is like that. Actually, we have an horticulture research station in Chittoor district, which is planning to set up a, a mini processing unit for tomato and mango combination together. So far your presentation is on mango. Can this tomato can be done with the same unit, and how much will be the cost for a small scale unit would be? Because the horticulture research station want to develop one mini scale in uh, under RKVY scheme.
Okay. All right. So, sir, I had briefly touched upon this in the presentation itself. So, when I was talking about mango pulp processing, so I had shown this line for tomato processing also, and I had mentioned that the line for mango and tomato processing is almost identical. Like 90% of the machines are the same. There are only two operations or steps which need to be added if we want to do tomato in the same line. So those, that is the hot break system and the vacuum pan. Again, I won't go into the technicalities, but essentially by just adding 2 or 3 machines, you can convert the mango processing line to a tomato processing line. So the smallest capacity plant that that we normally supply for mango processing is about 500 kgs per hour of input. In that you get about 50 kgs, 250 to 300 kgs per hour of mango pulp. All right. And in the same plant, you can do about 300 kgs per hour of tomatoes, which would give you about 150 to 150 kgs per hour of tomato ketchup. Now, if you want to set up a joint line for mango and tomato processing for this kind of capacity, the overall cost of all the machines together would be somewhere in the range of 40 to 50 lakh rupees.
Okay. So actually, the budget allocated is around 1 crore, sir. Actually, so per day, how much we can process like tomato?
If the budget is higher, you can go for a higher capacity plant. If the budget is in the range of 1 crore, then I would suggest you can go for a 1 ton per hour input plant for mango and a 1 ton per hour 1 ton per hour plant for tomato. So in case of mango, you will get 500 kgs, sorry, 500 to 600 kgs of pulp per hour. So in a day, normally in case of mango processing, the plant runs for 15 to 20 hours in a day during the season, because the season runs for only about 75 days to 90 days. So during the season, the plant runs for 15 to 20 hours in a day. So if 500 kg per hour is the output, and if you run the plant for 20 hours, you will get about 10 tons of output per day in case of mangoes. And in case of tomatoes, if you want to do tomato ketchup, you will be able to get about 500 kgs of tomato ketchup output per hour. That is about 10 tons of tomato ketchup per hour in the same.
Okay.
Budget of
So
1
do you
crore.
support also in packing and bottling also ketchup, or and do you support in
Sorry. So can you come again? I couldn't get you clearly.
Mr. Jaganmohan, your question was only half of it. We could listen only half of it. Can you please repeat your question, Mr. Jaganmohan?
my question was that do you support in packing and bottling also of the ketchup, the end product?
Sir, in case of
Sir,
mango
do
pulp,
you support bottling and packing also?
yes. Sir, essentially, we are a processing machines manufacturing company. We don't do a lot of packing machines, but we do certain amount of packing machines which are normally required as part of all lines. For example, in case of mango processing, if you are doing canning, all right, so we do complete automatic can processing line also. Okay, in case of tomato processing, we do vacuum filling machines which can handle up to say 30 bottles per minute. So for the capacity which I mentioned, we will be able to provide you packing machines as well.
Okay. Okay, fine, sir. At the same time, aseptic covers also, do you can provide for packing, or only can system is done in this system?
So we don't do the aseptic filling machines ourselves. So as I was mentioning during my presentation, the aseptic filling, the aseptic filler is a very expensive machine. Normally these machines are imported, and even if you go for a single head filling machine, the cost of that is in excess of 2 crore rupees. Okay, so the smallest capacity of plant that people find feasible to go for aseptic filling is 5 tons per hour. Okay, so if you have a capacity of 5 tons per hour or more, you should go for aseptic filling. You can go for aseptic filling also. It is just that the machine is very expensive, and you should only go for if you find it financially viable to do so. But we don't manufacture that machine ourselves. Normally, we import it and include it as part of our line.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Dr.
Thank you.
Gururajachar, next question. Dr. Gururajachar. Dr. Gururajachar, are you ready? You had put on your mic sometime back. Okay, let's move on to the chat window to look for questions.
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Gururajachar, please go
I'm speaking Lakshmipati ji. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rahul ji,
Yeah.
excellent presentation. I have a couple of doubts to ask you. The first
Yes,
question is, normally it is told that stored food is not good for health, for consumption. What do you have to say about this? Number one. Number two, are any preservatives added in the stored food which you have not talked about? Third thing is, we have been talking about the juice where there is a sugar mixture. We see it every time on the supermarket that it is sugar free. So how do you, is there any other alternate product which are
Okay. Okay. So I'll try and answer all your queries. So thank you for your queries. So the first question was whether they are good for health. And the second question is also linked to it. So whether any preservatives are added as part of it. So whenever any preservatives are added, although these are considered to be completely safe and they are like tested thoroughly before they have been allowed to add in the product, but it is always viewed negatively if any preservatives are added. But in case of mango, the
hello?
most
Your
yes,
voice
sir.
is breaking, Rahul. I'm not able to get the text of your speech.
Okay.
Hello?
What I'm saying is, so your first and second questions are related.
You're not audible.
Dr. Gururajachar, Mr. Rahul's voice is very clear. Maybe something wrong with your system because we are able to hear him very clearly. His voice is also not breaking. Yes, Mr. Rahul, please continue. Yeah, please continue.
Saying that the first and the second part of the questions are related because adding any kind of chemical as part of the line as adding any chemical preservatives in the product is normally viewed negatively, although these are food safe and they have been tested very thoroughly before they have been allowed to add in the product, but still they are being viewed negatively. But in case of mangoes, the two most commonly common forms of processing are mango pulp and frozen mangoes, and in both these cases we have generally seen that no preservatives are added. So if we go for canning of mango pulp, then in that case we don't need to add any preservatives. In fact, we do canning if we pack it in tin cans. Tin cans are normally a very expensive form of packing, but we undergo all of these processes because we don't want to add any preservatives. So the mango pulp available in tin cans, that doesn't have any preservatives. Similarly, the mango pulp which is available in frozen form or mango dices which are available in frozen form, again we don't add any preservatives in the product. In case of juices, we definitely do need to add preservative. Again, it depends what form of juice we want. If we use aseptic juice, in case of aseptic juices, like the ones which we have in Tropicana, etc., in those juices as well, no preservatives are added because they are packed in Tetra Pak. It's an aseptic form of packing. The ones which are available in PET bottles, etc., in those we do need to add chemical preservatives. Now again, it depends from one person to another how they view it. Because these are food safe and they have been tested thoroughly, they don't affect you negatively in any form. but still some people do find that if any chemical preservatives are added, then they should not be consuming it. But again, it becomes a matter of pure personal choice. Now there was this one last question regarding adding sugar syrup, etc. Now the sugar syrup is added for the sake of taste. Now every second drink that you would consume, that would have a different percentage of sugar which is being added to it. Now we also have a lot of smooth mango pulp available in the form of smoothies. Now in smoothies, they tend to avoid sugar quite a bit. In fact, some of them don't use sugar at all. In that case, they add milk and they add certain sweeteners. And by using that, they avoid the use of sugar syrup. But again, sir, if you ask me, are they like harmful? Harmful in the sense whether they would negatively affect the body? Possibly no. And whether we should consume it, then it's a personal choice. For example, all junk food is harmful. Should we avoid junk food? Yes, we should avoid it. Should we avoid it completely, not consume it ever in our life? It's a matter of personal choice. If you like junk food, if you consume it once in a while, it won't harm your body.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, let me go to the chat video to look for questions, please. There's one question being posted there. 1 minute. From Mr. Amir. Mr. Amir wants to know this. What is the cost of small-scale mango juice unit?
So mango juice can be done in two forms. So one is you buy ready-made mango pulp from the market, either mango pulp in tin cans or aseptic mango pulp, which is available in barrels. So if you do it from, and again, sir, it entirely depends upon the kind of capacity you want. Now, when we say a small-scale plant, normally these juice processing plants start with a capacity of 500 liters per hour. So if you make a mango juice, if you set up a plant of 500 liter per hour capacity of mango juice, the rough investment which you can consider would be somewhere in the range of 70 to 80 lakh rupees. And one more thing I would just like to highlight, in case of juice processing, in case of juice plants, the majority of the cost is related to filling and packing, because you would need the automatic filling machine. Because if you set up a 500 liter per hour plant, and even if you like fill 500 ml bottles, even then you would need close to 1,000 bottles per hour, and for that you would need automatic filling and packing machines. So filling and packing machines would roughly constitute 50% of the cost of the entire plant. And as I was mentioning, 70 to 80 lakhs would be roughly the investment for setting up a plant like this.
Thank you. The one Mr. Izuddin has complimented your presentation as very interesting and an exhaustive presentation. He has complimented your presentation. Now let me ask other participants if they got any questions. Mr. Jagan Mohan has got one more question, looks like. Yes, Mr. Jagan Mohan. Yeah, or let me go over to Mr. Prasad Madhaya. Mr. Prasad Madhaya's mic is on. Yes, Mr. Prasad.
Good evening, Mr. Lakshmipati. How are you, sir?
Fine,
Hello.
thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Rahul, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Could you kindly let me know, I mean, my network was not okay when you were answering somebody's question. Could you please let me know what would it cost for a small scale tomato ketchup unit?
Sir, if you only want to do a tomato unit
Exclusive tomato.
Smallest capacity of a tomato processing plant, which we normally supply, is about 300 kgs per hour of input, 300 kgs per hour of tomatoes, which would give you about 100 kgs per hour of puree and 150 kg per hour of ketchup. So if you set up a plant like this, so the X works cost of the processing machine, that is the machines which fall under my scope, is about 25 lakh rupees. So apart from this, you would need to add like utilities like boiler, steam pipeline, water pipeline, electricals. So in all, you can consider a total investment in machines of about 40 lakh rupees for 300 kg per hour plant. And if you go for a 500 kg per hour plant, you can consider an investment of about 50 lakh rupees.
What if we have an end-to-end packing of tin packing? Do you have that kind of supplies network?
Yes, sir. So we no tin. So we make as I was mentioning earlier. So we do complete set of machine for tin can packing. So which can do about 40 cans per minute. Okay, so for a line like this, we can give you an automatic filling system as well for canning. But if you set up a small capacity line, sir, of say 500 kg per hour of mangoes or so, then the output is just about 200, 250 to 300 kgs per hour. Or even in case of tomato puree, it would be like 100 to 150 kgs per hour. In that case, the number of cans is only about 5 to 10 cans per minute or so. You can easily handle with the help of semi-automatic machines. So the, the cost which I had mentioned you, that is including all the machines, including the filling machine, etc.
Hello. I
Yes,
have a question,
Mr.
Rahul.
Prasad, anything more?
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, Dr. Gururaj sir.
Thank you, Lakshmi,
One
for
more
the
from
second
you.
chart. Mr. Rahul, you haven't mentioned
Yes,
about the manpower cost and maintenance of this unit.
so the annual cost of maintenance of this unit
Yes, and the manpower required.
and the manpower required. Okay, so it depends, completely depends on what capacity of plant we want to set up. Because in your bed in Krishnagiri, Dharmapuri, in all these districts, we have several plants which are of very high capacities. We have plants of 20 tons per hour capacity also, and we have plants of 5 tons per hour capacity also, and 1 ton per hour capacity also. Just to give you a representation number, if you set up a plant of about 1 ton per hour, you would need about 20 odd people to run the plant. Sorry, apart from manpower, what other information did you need? The maintenance cost. Okay, yeah. So the maintenance cost is not significant, because all of these are like mechanical machines. They tend to run for 15 to 20 years without any major breakdowns as such. All the only components which you possibly need to replace from time to time are the consumables and say the bearings, the brushes, and things like these. So the annual cost of maintenance you can consider to be about 3 to 4% of the cost of the entire plant, whatever size of plant you set.
Manpower?
Yeah.
How much is
Manpower,
cost to make?
1 ton per hour plant, it would be say about 20 people. Or else if you give me the capacity of plant you're looking for, I'll be able to give you a more precise number about the kind of manpower needed.
Smallest unit of 100 tons per hour.
The smallest unit, if you consider of about 5, so the smallest unit for mango is like 500 kgs per hour. In that case, you can consider manpower of about 15 people in the plant.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, participants, for asking all those questions. Any more questions? I think there are no more questions. We have now completed the round of questions. I like to thank the speaker, Mr. Rahul Paharia, on behalf of Agriculture Information, for taking his time to speak with us with an excellent and interesting presentation. I now request the organizer of the meeting, Ms. Rajini Jain, to please close the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lakshmipati. I'd like to thank the speaker, Mr. Rahul Paharia, for taking the time to talk with us. I'd also like to thank all the participants for their time. The meeting